Students and teachers returned to school in Uvalde, Texas today for the first time since the massacre in May that left 21 dead, most of them children. Amna Nawaz has our update.
The first day of school in Uvalde, Texas. Bus rides, backpacks, and kids back in the classroom. But the new school year here comes with new concerns. It was just over 3 months ago that 19 children and 2 teachers were killed by an 18-year-old gunman at Robb Elementary. Today, parents, teachers, and students worry, are their schools safe? For Veronica Mata, whose 10-year-old daughter Tess was killed that day, it was never a question of if she would return to teaching, but when.
There was a question of whether I was mentally ready, but not to go back. Teaching was always something I've wanted to do, and I know that Tess would have wanted me to go back.
But not everyone carries that confidence about returning to class. A number of students have opted into homeschooling or virtual learning. And since Robb Elementary will not reopen its doors, many students are attending new and different schools in the area. One of those, Uvalde Elementary, where Veronica Mata teaches, unveiled new security measures like high fencing, security cameras, and more secure doors.
So you'll walk this way. We have our buzz system right here. Just press it there, hold it, and then I can hear it ringing. And there we go.
And the Texas Department of Public Safety has committed dozens of officers to patrol Uvalde school campuses. But many here are still angry over the botched police response to the mass shooting in May.
I don't think that they've handled it at all. I think they just keep trying to put Band-Aids on a gunshot wound.
Reminders of that day and the trauma left in its wake are everywhere. But today, the children of Uvalde return to class and their new sense of normal.
Joining me now is Tony Plohetsky, investigative reporter for the Austin American-Statesman, who has covered the massacre and its fallout since that tragic day. Tony, welcome back to the NewsHour. Thanks for always joining us. It's the first day back in school for these kids who survived the unimaginable 3 months ago. Safety has to be top of mind. So what do we know about what the school district has done and has not yet done to make sure kids and parents feel safe back in those schools?
Well, I'm going to keep in mind that for most Texas schools, it actually started several weeks ago in mid-August. Uvalde officials intentionally delayed school in that community to give them a chance to install some of the safety measures that they've been talking about after this happened, including cameras, new fencing around schools, as well as lock-on doors. And we've seen officials in social media videos sort of give us a demonstration. But unfortunately, many of the measures that they were putting in place were not in place when schools started today for a variety of reasons. And so that only intensified among parents this unease, this sense of unease and anxiety as they sent their kids back to school today.
And Tony, do we know why some of those measures weren't in place? I mean, you mentioned our colleague here, producer Courtney Norris, was in touch with one of the parents there, a woman named Kelsey Parado, who has a 3rd grader at Uvalde Elementary. And she said she was just baffled, that she said they've had all this time to put these things into place. I don't know why they haven't done them yet. Do we know why?
It is quite disappointing. We are still investigating some of the reasons that some of the promises about security have not been fulfilled. At this point, what the superintendent's office and what the school district has said is that they were hampered by supply chain issues and that they weren't able to get some of the goods and materials that they needed to shore up some of these campuses. We also know, and this is an important note as well, that more than 36 Texas Department of Public Safety troopers have been on the ground in Uvalde today, helping patrol some of those campuses as well.
Tony, we know the school district is also making available a virtual learning option for students who do not feel safe going back into the classrooms. Have you spoken to any families who are taking advantage of that?
What some families tell us is that this was an option that they did, in fact, choose to pursue. The district confirmed that about 150 students have enrolled virtually. But Amna, it's also important to note that this is a community of largely working class families. And so what many parents have said is that they simply did not have the option of enrolling their children in virtual learning. And so they had to really face this dilemma of sending their children back to school. We also know that some families, as a matter of fact, also have enrolled their kids in other schools and other districts, as well as private schools in the area as well.
We just saw how much anger and frustration there still is on the ground. You recall that town hall meeting in which a lot of it did boil over. The question, I think, remains, has all of that frustration, all of that anger, has that led to accountability on the ground?
There are indications that it is leading to accountability on the ground. Keep in mind that last month, the school district, after 3 months, fired the school district police chief, who was said to be the incident commander that day. And Amna, just this evening, we are able to report that the Texas Department of Public Safety has confirmed that 5 of its employees who were on the ground that day have now been referred to the state's inspector general's office for possible disciplinary action and possible termination against them. We're still learning what possible policy violations they may have broken that day, but there is some movement toward accountability. And that is something that many people in that community have been demanding for some time now.
Tony, finally, we know you and your colleagues at the Austin American-Statesman have joined with other Texas newsrooms suing Uvalde officials for refusing to give you access to a number of records. What are you seeking? What questions do you hope those documents could answer?
This is a broad coalition of media outlets here in Texas and beyond, as a matter of fact. And given the amount of discrepancies from what authorities said in those first weeks after the shooting, based on what we know now, we believe that the only way for the public to have a true and accurate picture of what happened that horrible day is for all of the information to be made public. There has been something of an erratic release of information, including some body camera video, of course, the hallway footage from that day. But again, we are appealing to state officials to release the entire body of information so that everyone, not only here in Texas, but across the nation, can have a full and broad understanding of the law enforcement response that day.
And of course, no one deserves those answers more than the families there on the ground. Tony Plohetski of the Austin American-Statesman joining us today as kids in Uvalde, Texas go back to school. Tony, thank you. Always good to see you.
Thank you. You too.